Welcome back to Encaught and welcome back to another industry interview. This week we had the pleasure of interviewing Mica Kayde. She's a set customer and custom designer for movie and TV shows. In today's interview, we talk about her work as custom designer in the movie The Monkey, which is a horror movie that came out earlier this year. And because we are big horror fans, we also had to talk about a little bit of her work as custom designer in Longlegs with Nicolas Cage. Mica gave us some of the inside scoop of working in The Monkey, including how she herself helped make the monkey puppet, which if you've seen the movie, you know it's absolutely amazing. Before we go on to the interview, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment so you can get more interviews like this from people that work on your favorite movies. And without further ado, Mica Kayde.
My name's Mica Kayde. I'm a costume designer, and I got into costumes because my mom, she's just like a seamstress at home. She makes all her own clothes, and she's like an avid vintage collector. So she would always say, like, you have to leave the house looking like a walking art piece. So I think that sort of like set the bar pretty high with like what clothing means to you. And I was just always interested in clothes, but I never thought about film until I sort of stumbled into it. I did like a photo shoot with friends for like a small magazine, and then the photographer was going to work on a movie, and then she couldn't do it, and she suggested me, and it was like for one of those like small like Hallmark or like Lifetime, movies, and I was like, oh, I think I could do that, and then I did that job, and then it just like snowballed from there. I like started to realize that like both of my passions of like being like hyper organized and like obsessed with making like storylines and film. I've always loved film, and then like having that passion for clothing and like merging those two things together, I was like, oh my God, I found exactly what I should be doing. This is wild. So I'm totally self-taught. I didn't go to school for it. Yeah. So it's just like learning on the job, and then like knowing things from before, like sewing and all that. But like, yeah, completely learning as I went. And it's been such a wild ride.
That is a really good path to take. I mean, Kaylin herself is doing some self-teaching about like SFX makeup and whatnot. So I definitely understand that it's a very interesting path to take because it's kind of like you drive yourself to find your groove. So I guess you're
Mm-hmm.
your own style made it so much more fun to just go and style someone else.
Yeah. And I think like it's hard because I love validation that school gives you. I love someone being like, this is your project, you got an A or whatever, that like quick validation. But I think going the like self-taught route, yeah, you really have to like keeping like, no, I can do it. I believe in myself. But there's like all of those, there's hurdles in both paths. Both are great. But yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Getting a little bit into the monkey itself, which is the movie you're here for today. So the movie starts in the past. We see a little bit of the dad. We don't exactly know who he is. He has the monkey, and then we see the kids that become our main characters for the rest of the movie. But then we see them all grown up. So not only that, but also you had to deal with, and when they were kids, there were different actors, so it was kind of easy to know who is who. But when they were adults, you had to deal with having the same actor look different enough so you could distinguish them, and you did. But how did you tackle this aspect of costume designing, having past and present, and then the two different actors?
Yeah, it was so much fun having twins because I'm a twin. I was really excited that we were doing twins because like I got to think about my own childhood growing up, how like we would have a lot of similarities, but we were also like striving for like people to see us differently. So working with like that and like knowing at the age that they are, which is like I think they're like 13 in it, where that's where you're really like sort of finding who you are and like trying different styles. So for Hal and Bill when they're younger, like Bill, we were just obsessed with doing this like classic bad boy in like the 1999 or 2000 or whatever, just using like Jenko jeans and just like making him look like a little shithead because we all like remembered that from our like it was nice like going with the shopper and with my assistant being like, okay, who is this little shithead kid? Like, what would he wear? And we were like, really wanted to use Jankos, and they like let us use their brand, which was so great because that was like such a piece that we really wanted to focus on because we thought that's just such a like classic brand of that time. And like those puffy DCs and just like the flame shirt. We really just wanted him to like have that like quick response for the audience to know like who this kid is.
Yeah.
And then for Hal, we wanted him to be like a lot more muted, a lot more demure, and kind of wear things that he's still trying to figure himself out. He's like has this such a big personality brother, but they're twins, so he's like he wants to be completely different from him, but he like hasn't found his voice yet.
Mm.
But when they grow up, it's still sort of similar. You can definitely see the through line with Hal like staying in those muted tones, almost looking like kind of 80s, even though it's present. Like he just has he almost wants to disappear. Like we talked about a lot of like disappearing with Oz for that character, but it's like, you know, things are happening to him. He's not doing it. Whereas Bill is like, we're putting together these like wild styles of like, you know, he's wearing genderless clothing. He has like a bunch of like, he wears some kids' clothes sometimes. He has like women's clothes on. He has like super oversized men clothes. He's just kind of like doing his own thing because he doesn't care. And he's like bold. So those differences were really fun to do and also work with the actors, like them changing how they're acting because of what they're wearing was such a huge part of it.
And you really had to like come through and show their state of mind as well, because they both had their thing in the back of their heads that I think comes through with a lot of the costuming that was done in the movie.
I'm glad. Yeah, that was it was important. You're absolutely right to know the differences like kind of right away.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a couple of these little big wins that happened during the production, but what was the most rewarding moment for you when making the monkey?
Oh, that's a good question. The most rewarding. It was such a wild ride because there were so many characters and so much blood, so many multiples. Like it just like it was just like never ending. So I think like I guess two moments truly like when we like our last fitting, I was like can't believe we like made it through all of this. What how incredible. But also when we finally figured out Bill's funeral suit like as an adult, the like remake was a big moment for me because I really really loved what we ended up doing and I think it looked really really good.
For sure. Knowing that it's a team, but your mom is a seamstress, did you have any part on the actual making of the costumes?
Yes, I mean it's such a team effort. Like on this, we didn't have like a huge team, but I had seamstresses for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm like with the funeral. Some of them were builds. We had like a lot of builds, but we also had a lot of purchase stuff that we sort of like remade into builds, like cut it, you know. But we for the we basically for Bill's funeral suit we ended up using like his flame shirt as a kid and then like put it on the Janko jeans like crotch piece and made that a corset was like
Mm.
the idea. So we made that choice like really quickly because it was a concept before, but then we were trying to figure out a better way to do it. So for that I like cut up this vinyl and was like, wow, let's see if it works, and then like put it on myself and I just have like a really silly selfie of me and I was like, okay, it looks good. So and then I got our seamstress to do it, so it's definitely like a group effort. But if I was spending my time sewing every costume, I don't think I'd get anything else done.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, we would love to put that picture here for everyone who's watching on YouTube right now.
For sure, it looks bananas. It's just like a shit show me wearing trying to look like Bill, but yeah, I'll send it.
You did also mention blood, and this is like a common theme, especially with horror movies now. Lots of blood, lots of gore. So how did you and your team handle the amount of blood and destruction that was happening with those costumes.
Oh my God. Every meeting, I think Oz would be like, yeah, maybe we just do a blood cannon. And I would just be like, fuck, how many multiples do we need? That's always my question is how many multiples do we need? How many times are we going to do this? It was definitely hard in that sense because, as you both probably know, getting multiples of a costume means you have to buy it or you have to make it. You can't, get something vintage, which is my preference. So having to get that amount of stuff for almost every costume, not to mention the kids all have to be multipled in every costume because they have a pumpkin time. So they need stand-ins. So the blood was a lot. That was the hardest part, I think, of the whole shoot was having that amount of blood. But blood is really fun too. Because when you're there and when you're on set and then just there's explosions of blood, it's always just yeah, we got the shot. You hope you get it in one take, but you don't.
But it's the kind of case that you have to have the multiples regardless, even if you do get it in one take, because you never know.
Exactly. So there's never an option not to have them. So you're just hoping that you don't have to use all of them or you have enough.
Backtracking a little bit, what is the first thing that you did for the monkey when you got joined in the custom designing team? And just what is your process just in general?
Yeah, so my process usually, I didn't have to I'll usually interview for the job and sort of make a mood board of the characters. I'll read the script and make a really quick sort of idea of how I'm going to see them. For this one, because I worked with Oz already, I had the job and didn't have to do that right away. But that's sort of what I do. I'll make a mood board of each character and I'll present it, and then we'll make sure that the director and I and the producers or whoever needs to make those big choices are on the same page. And then from that, then I kind of start trying to source and find sort of what we're doing there, and then kind of taking each character and then really diving in to see what their changes are, what they're doing when they're where they're going. So you kind of just do a script breakdown of how they're sort of living their lives in the script, so you know what they need to be wearing. And we I like to put all the mood boards all over the walls, so everyone's sort of you kind of live in the idea of these characters, so you can really just kind of jump in. And so my assistant and the shopper, the buyers or whatever, we're all we all know who these characters are.
That's amazing. What was a regular day for you on the set for the monkey?
Well, so I'm not always on set, but I'll be there whenever we're establishing something. Or I'll be there if we're doing something really bananas and I can make it there to see or to make sure it all goes down without a hitch. But usually I'll go to the office, we'll try and if we have a fitting, we're doing a fitting. If we're, we get a new character, we're trying to figure out that character, or we'll be going to set right away, establishing that person's look on set, making sure it's all good. It's the way I want it to be styled, and then we'll leave and just keep it. Just never ends. It's okay, you fit all these people before you go, before you start shooting, and those people are shooting, and then you're okay, now we have 12 more characters that are not fit yet. Now we have to shop for that, and that usually there's a bit of a lull, but for this one it was just keep them coming. It was never ending.
I actually was very curious about this one character. I'm completely blanking on his name, but it's the leather jacket, long black hair in front of the eye.
Yeah.
I'm so curious, what your thought process was when you're given that character, because we don't get a whole lot of information on his backstory at all. So I wonder, what was your interpretation of him and why you dressed him that way?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question, because actually there was a lot more about him. I feel I think some scenes were cut with him. But his name when we were shopping for him was Thrasher or Ricky. I think in the movie it's Ricky. But that was like completely Oz. He's usually super hands off with, at least for me, like I'll present my ideas and he's like, yeah, yeah, that's great. Like that's how I want it. But then for this particular character, he's like, I want it to be, because I was gonna do more like skatery, and he was like, no, I want it to be sort of like more punk. I want like all these elements. So that was like fully him,
Oh,
like
wow.
really, and like he wanted like his wig and like his mom's wig to match. Like he like really had a vision for like Thrasher's family, and the brother, like Beauchamp, is played by one of the, like, I think he was the second DP on it. So he was like he's a crew member. So
Oh my
everyone
god, little
freaked
Easter egg.
out. Yeah, and Oz was like, no, Jeremy's gotta play Beauchamp's. But yeah,
That's
so Oz really wanted like Ricky to look exactly that way.
That's so interesting.
I think it ended up being a really interesting
Yeah.
character for sure. I wish we knew more of
Yeah,
his
I wonder
backstory.
what was cut. That's very interesting.
Yeah, well, he, like, you kind of see it, but basically, like, he gets the monkey at the yard sale,
Mhm.
and like they all still live in that like town of Casco. So like adult Bill is there in that weird like fortress, and then like Aunt
Mhm.
Ida still lives there, and then Ricky like lives in the town, and his dad was a police officer like in the past and then ran away from their family.
Mhm.
And then so he gets the monkey, sort of gets entranced with it, but he like saw an ad in the paper that someone wanted the monkey, like Bill's ad. So he like gives it to him, but then he's like, no, I need it back. Like, I love the monkey, and kind of gets obsessed with it. I think there's one, he's like stalking Hal, and I think he's like on a skateboard, like on the back of their car. I think that was like a shot that maybe wasn't in the film. But yeah, it was just a bit, yeah, it was this whole like missing his dad sort of thing.
But it's also such an astonishing change with this character because the mom is like, "Are you really gonna sell it?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I figured he was gonna sell it for like a bunch of money, $14.
Right.
So like, no wonder.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right.
And I want to talk really quick a little bit about Longlegs. And so in the movie, Nicolas Cage's character, his face is really unsettling. But even in the trailer, I feel like in the beginning of the movie, his face is mostly hidden, so we don't see his face for a little bit. But he still has that feeling of being just really scary and unsettling. And how did you manage to capture that through just the clothes alone?
So for his outfit, when Oz wrote it, it was written as like dirty white clothes. Like he
Mm,
wanted him to be in white. And I was like, okay. But I really, there's an issue with white on camera. You can't have it to be too bright, or, there's all these things. So with his outfit, I really wanted every part of it to use materials that looked almost the opposite of scary. Like I wanted him to be in this like white leather jacket that looks like skin, like the textures like skin, and like almost more, and then like the fur collar. I wanted these things that like they're so pure, but when they get filthy, they're like kind of super jarring and like disgusting in a way. So we did that, and then I wanted everything to look like he could have like made it himself. Like he's in those pants, but it's all like there's all these like stitchings, this like cream colored stitching, almost like he's making his clothes like he's making the dolls. But his little vest, like everything's almost like kind of cute and petite and weird that he would wear it, but like all together it looks so gross, but like
Yeah.
really put together. And like his cow, like he's wearing cowboy
yeah.
boots, but we painted them white. So almost like he did it all himself to like create this sort of, with like his little silk scarf, like silk again, like another really like soft textured sort of luxurious feeling thing, but it looks so gross with the whole combination.
I think that character became iconic. I've seen people
Yeah.
cosplaying as Longlegs
Yeah.
online, and
Oh,
it's really cool.
that's
You
great.
fully knowing how it's gonna look on camera, being aware that might be get washed out. What is that communication that you have to have with the director and with the cinematographer in Monkey Man. Sorry, Monkey Man. In the monkey and just in general.
Yeah, I mean, color is such an important thing. I usually work a lot with I mean, we all kind of discuss it. Like I kind of present certain characters' colors, like what my approach is on like how I want them to wear things. And usually for me, it's based on if something's going to brighten someone or if something's going to like take all the color away from them, depending on what their character is and what the like intention is there. But with the like production designer, we'll also discuss like what colors are being used in their house and like why is that. And so we all sort of usually have those conversations to make sure that not only like the brightness or like the mutedness or whatever hue we're doing, like it sort of all coincides together. And we'll do tests, like, well, I'll know if we're shooting at night or during the day, you know, storyline wise. So I'll be like, okay, I won't put someone in all black at nighttime unless that's the intention of what we're doing, unless they want to be hidden. So it's all that sort of collaboration with all departments to make sure. I think especially in Longlegs, like all the colors are very specific. Like there's a lot of color on color or like taking like
white
color
on
away.
white.
Yeah, so we all like discuss it, but it is I don't think it was supposed to snow for Longlegs for that first shot. I don't think I think we were surprised by that, and that ended up being the shot, which was actually super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked really, really jarring.
Intentional.
Definitely. And really intentional. So it's funny you say.
Yeah, I think I need to like double check because that is my memory.
Mhm.
But I think we shot there when it wasn't snowy, and then we like went back and shot that again because it was snowy. Well, but don't hold me accountable for that one.
I feel like the answer is probably no, and that's completely understandable because it is a prop. But did you have any say on what the monkey was gonna wear? Because I feel like at the end of the day, it became one of the main characters.
I made it. We made it. That was us. Yes.
Wow.
So that was nice. We all talked about it because there's like so many like images of other monkeys,
Right.
you know, that exist. But no, we ended up making it because Oz really wanted, because it's all quite everything's quite like campy in the monkey, like, you know, everything's a little bit over the top and a little bit like but so he wanted it to almost, what he mentioned, one of the first Star Wars, because I was just talking to the props master about it too, because he wanted it all to look kind of like cheap and like, you know what I mean, like almost like flimsy, like certain things he was like, make it look flimsy, like it's like flat, like matte.
Yeah.
So like, so for the monkey's vest, we were like, we're just gonna do this like simple red vinyl vest, like that's it, like not this, like, you know, we could have done something a little bit like with a texture on it so that the camera would sort of like take in that texture, which is a little bit better on camera. But he was like, no, let's have it super flat. But then we found that material for the pants, which I really loved because I thought it looked like otherworldly, like you couldn't tell where it was from, like what country it was from, or like what the intention was. Like it's kind of a weird pattern. It's not just like a pinstripe. It's not like, I didn't want it to read super circus, but I wanted it to read like like mysterious almost. Yeah. Just we wanted it to look like you couldn't tell where it was from, and also have that like that sense of like weird and wackiness. That was kind of the intention for everyone.
And what was the decision behind you making it instead of like the props team?
I wanted to make it.
Very understandable.
I wanted to. No, like the props master is one of my best friends, and he's the best. And I thought that we would do a better job because it's clothes.
Yeah.
But we all discussed it. Like we all decided what it was going to look like all together. So everything was, yeah, super collaborative. But we thought it'd be easier because we also made like 6 of them.
Wow.
Of course.
Wow.
Because I think there were like 3 types of monkeys. There was like a plush toy, an animatronic,
Mm.
Yeah.
and then one that actually did everything.
So it wasn't the same all throughout.
Right.
Okay.
That makes
No,
sense.
I think, yeah, that was the idea. I wasn't always on set, so I think that that's what they did though. And yeah, so we dressed all of them, and then we had more just in case, because
Mhm.
we burnt one,
Yes.
Yes.
At
so
the
we
very
had
beginning.
extras for
That was
that.
one of my like
Yeah.
he did get burned. I understand that he came
Mhm.
back, but anyways.
Yeah. So we had a lot. Yeah, we had a lot of little monkey vests and pants.
You probably had this conversation with the director, but to your understanding, what is this monkey? Is he an alien? Is he possessed?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think like the physical monkey, I think, is just some sort of like demon in a
Mm.
way, but that's like, but also is just, you know, the representation of it is kind of just like life happens. Like the one of the only
Yeah.
things about life that we all, like all humans and living things, have a connection to is that we're all going to die.
Mm.
So I think it's almost like that, like fear representation of like what death, like that death just decides that it happens, and no one can decide when they die or who dies. It's just everyone dies.
Mm.
Yeah, and I guess it's that representation of death because at the end of the film we do have death going right in front of them
Right.
and just kind of like
Ghost.
skipping them.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And before we finish, a lot of our listeners are very interested in getting themselves into filmmaking and into custom design. What is some piece of advice that you might have for them?
Oh wow. I think just, but like, I mean, the simple answer is like believing that you can do it and putting yourself out there, like trying to do student films, trying to do like small independent films, making films with your friends, and just like learning, for me at least, like learning as much as you can on any set, because you just learn so much. Every project is different. And just kind of going with the flow and like not taking anything personally and just like keep creating, because you can't ever like know what to expect even when you read a script. Sometimes you'll have to make things and pull things out of your ass that you didn't expect or you didn't think you could do it, and then you can. So I think just trying to put yourself out there and like have a community of filmmakers or just people that are creative and you just want to like have fun and just make something great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I love that.
And so that we know what movie to watch next. What is Micah's favorite movie?
Oh my God. Oh, that's such a hard question.
We've come to find out that
Shit.
most people that work on film have a hard time
Yep.
figuring out a favorite movie.
Mhm.
Oh my God. I mean, so many different movies that I love for so many different reasons. I mean, okay, let me try and figure this out. I mean, I love, oh God.
You can say multiple if it's difficult.
I like there's this film called Wild Tales.
Hmm.
Absolutely love. It's a bunch of like short stories. I think it's Argentinian and it's just so good. I also love like the French film Incendie. I watched it when I was younger and I loved that movie. I love the movie The Worst Person in the World that came out a couple years ago. I love the movie Fargo. Coen Brothers is such a good classic movie that I think when I watched that I was like, "Oh my God." I love like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I grew up loving like musicals because I love Julie Andrews with all my heart. So I love The Sound of Music and I love like My
Oh
Fair
my
Lady. I mean, I'm gonna keep
God.
I think any film that just makes you that just leaves you like excited. I think now that like working in film so much, I think you almost you're a little bit more strategic about what you watch or if you think something's great because you can tell what's going on. I think when I can tell that like either like the writing's kind of funny with the acting or you know what I mean, it just really takes you out of it. So anything that really like brings me in, I'm always just I love Nora was so good. Oh my god. Movies are just so great, aren't they?
And just because you mentioned Argentinian films, and because we were talking about a couple horror films, you should take a look at a movie called Aterrados. It's like
Ooh,
Terrified, but in Spanish. And Argentinian film is hands down the most terrifying
Yeah.
film I've ever watched.
It was so scary.
oh my god, okay, I'll watch it. I'm actually so scared of horror.
That's so funny. For the one that made Monkey.
Right.
Yeah, I'm so scared of watching horror movies. I've watched so many because of doing horror movies. But I get sleep paralysis and I get really scared.
I get that too. Yeah.
It's so scary, but I'll definitely check it out. That's a great
Yeah,
recommendation.
let us know what you think, because it's
Sorry in
traumatizing.
advance. It was terrifying.
Is it like what kind of terrifying? Is it like supernatural terrifying or like
Yeah.
Yeah, supernatural and some like slight sci-fi elements, I feel like, with
Mhm.
the monster that you see.
But it gets started killing people very early on.
Yep.
okay? I'm better with supernatural. I feel like because that I'm like that could never happen to me.
Yeah, this one feels a little bit more
Oh no! Okay.
Well,
I'll
said it's based on a true story, so.
Yes.
oh my god. I'll watch it though. I'll watch it when my husband's back in town. So I don't watch it by myself. Or my dog will have to sleep with me until the end
Yeah.
of time.
Hey, Mica, what are you working on right now? What is next for you? And where can people follow you?
They can follow my Instagram if they want. I'm like I should definitely try and put more work content on there. So I'll do my best. But we have another Oz film is gonna come out at the end of this year, I think.
Oh, nice.
Called Keeper. And I'm about to start a job on Monday. I'm doing this film called The Land of Nod, which is, have you guys seen Skinamarink?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that director is directing this new movie that I'm going to do with him. So I'm starting prep on Monday. So I'm excited for that.
That's really cool.
Well, when you finish and when it comes out, we should definitely talk about it then.
Yes, I'll let you know. I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be the script is awesome. So it'll be really fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mica, for being here with us for this interview. I think it was amazing.
So fun.
We had a great time. I hope you did too.
Well, thank you so much, Sebastian and Caitlin. This was an absolute pleasure. You're both so great to talk to, and I'm so happy that we chatted. And cut.
Yay!
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Uncut. You can follow us on all social media, starting with Instagram as Uncut the podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube as That Film Couple, which is the same handle for TikTok, That Film Couple for short form content. You can also follow us on Twitch as Sebasparra1K. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, you can find us on any podcast platform as Uncut ! Last but not least, you can follow me on Instagram as sebi.mp4.
And you can follow me at caitlin.mp4.
Thank you so much for being here one more week, and we'll see you in the next one.